The land of Israel is a land of incredible geographic complexity. I'm Jack Beck. I'm a Bible geographer, and I'm here in the Holy Land in order to explore all the geographical differences that this land has to offer. And I'm doing it as a Bible teacher because in order to best understand our Bible and the stories that only fit in the places that they occur, we're going to go on a trip that visits all sorts of different places in this region. We know that Nazareth was Nowheresville, and no one expected the Messiah to come from there. But in God's plan, Nazareth turned out to be the perfect place for Jesus to grow up. I am going to show you a way of thinking about and reading your Bible you may never have experienced before. We're going to make the Bible's geography meaningful. This is hands down one of the most iconic places in the Holy Land. To really appreciate it, we need to get out here on the lake and look back across beautiful shoreline that's ground zero for Jesus' ministry here. This is the Sea of Galilee. I can't think of a single person whom I brought to this lake who said, "Oh, that's what I was expecting to see." They always look at it and go, "Wait, that's way smaller than what I was expecting." We're looking at an inland lake here that's just 7.5 miles across, 13 miles from north to south, and 32 miles around. It isn't much of a lake. It's got big stories, but it's kind of a tiny lake. What I want you to know for sure and see for sure is how very different this place is than Nazareth. We move from a high mountain valley down here onto this sprawling lake country with beautiful agricultural plains surrounding it. We move from a place where we've got creamy colored limestones to a place where we have dark soils and black boulders. And we move from a place that had a very simple subsistence economy to a place with a very complicated economy. One that involved boat building and fishing and agriculture and support of international trade and even the manufacture of grinding mills from the local basalt. This lake is completely different from Nazareth. It changes. And when Jesus comes into this space, people begin to think about him differently. It's a place where expectations are rising. Of all the archaeological sites in the Holy Land, the place I think I feel most home might be this one. This is the home of Jesus, Capernaum, and it's a place that I feel at home because I'm among so many people who are here because Jesus was here. At the time of Jesus, there were maybe 1,500 people who were living here, observant Jews who lived and worked in these homes around us. But there was one difference between these observant Jews in Capernaum and those that lived up in Nazareth. The folks here were accustomed to meeting people from many different places, and as a consequence of that, they had heard a lot of new ideas and in fact were open to new ideas. And that means Jesus got a hearing here that he didn't get in other places. If Jesus had remained in Nazareth, there's simply no way that he would have met either the large number of people or the variety of people that were here in Bible time. They came here for other purposes, but some stopped at the synagogue and heard Jesus speak. And what I love about the Gospel of Mark is that Mark not only tells us what Jesus said in this building, but how people responded to what he said. Jesus teaches with authority and not like the teachers of the law. In other words, Jesus' quality of instruction is better than the teachers of the teachers in Jerusalem. That's what made him unique. And that is what was lifting expectations about Jesus here in Capernaum. Most of Jesus' teaching centered in a small 2.5 square mile area on the northwest shore of the Sea of Galilee. At a nearby fishing village called Magdala, I want to show you another synagogue in which Jesus likely taught. If I'd been sitting in this room listening to Jesus in the first century, I'd be sitting so close to him I could see the color of his eyes. This is the synagogue in the town of Magdala. What I find so striking about this is its intimacy. The people who were sitting with Jesus, and he could see the problems, the physical, emotional, mental problems that they had, and out of love, to demonstrate the authority of his messages, he would do miracles. Within the archaeological site of Magdala and near its synagogue, we find a devotional center with this unique room. It's called the Encounter Chapel. It commemorates a healing miracle Jesus did when he encountered an unnamed woman challenged by a bleeding disorder. I'm here with Julie, who's part of our production team, to reflect on that miracle, a miracle Jesus did to heal both body and soul. We find it in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 8. Julie, this is a story you know, but the first time you're seeing this particular depiction of that story in this mural in the Encounter Chapel at Magdala, I'm very curious what it is that you see in what's before you.
Yeah, Jack, it's a very emotive experience, I think, because it's the woman that had this hemorrhaging for 12 years. And I just picture the woman just feeling shame and the uncleanliness, and now she's reaching out, and I almost think to myself, she's thinking, is it true? But it's really powerful, isn't it? Yeah, it's really it hits me personally, I think, because of my own experience with Christ and what he's done.
You know, I look at this and I see Jesus turned away from her. She's sort of hidden in this mirror, like she's hidden in society, and just weaving her fingers between legs. Did you ever feel like Jesus had sort of been turning from you and you were struggling to reach out and grab him?
Yeah. When I was in my younger years, in my early 20s, I went through a period where I was married. I'd only been married for 2 years, and my husband betrayed me and he cheated on me. And I went through a divorce. And I struggled with a lot of shame that I was divorced. I was a Christian. I'd accepted Christ when I was a young girl. I started questioning, did Jesus really love me? Why would he allow me to go through an experience like this? And I turned my back on God. And so here I am living in this anger because I was angry at what happened to me, and living in this place of utter just disillusionment of who Jesus was. And then it was interesting because there were 2 people that God sent into my life at the time, and they found Christ, and he made such a difference in their lives that they had turned their whole life around. And so when I saw that their lives had changed so much, I thought to myself, I want what they have. I was watching these 2 friends, and I got to the place where I was ready to really surrender it all to Christ. But I remember that feeling of almost reaching out to him and just saying, I believe. I believe that you do change lives. And so that was about 25 years ago, Jack, and my whole life has been changed because of Christ.
I love it. I love it. It is such a compelling story. It reminds me of this fact that I think accompanies so many of the miracles of Jesus, and that is that we often have a perspective or a thought about how God thinks about us, when the challenge Jesus gives us is, don't think about how you think God thinks about you, think about how God really thinks about you.
I'm relating to this woman because it's like, I remember thinking to myself, is it true? Is it true that Jesus really loves deeply, personally? I
see that here in this, and your life too, and this amazing thing. It's so easy to begin to think God thinks I'm less than he thinks of me, but that's just a veil Satan's put in front of my eyes, and I love the fact that Jesus took it away. Everywhere Jesus went along these shores, people's expectations were changed. He was revealing more and more about who he was, both by what he said and by what he did. In the next episode, Jesus is going to shatter even more expectations about what his kingdom would look like and who it would include.